Star Wars making us feel like kids again, making us cry. Cool.
I love it. Give me the tears.
So super stoked about Ahsoka. Uh,
Yeah, Ahsoka's gonna be
I,
cool.
I really hope that, especially with Grand Admiral Thrawn, because he was a good villain in Rebels, but um, it kind of feels like they're also playing with Thrawn with gloves on. Like he feels like a threat, but he doesn't like really like beat our heroes. And I guess the only way that he was taken away was obviously like, well, if I can't kill you, I'm gonna have the space whales take us away. Boop.
Yeah, and I think we can do so. I hope they bring Ezra in. I hope they do, and I hope that Ezra is doing exactly what we just talked about. I hope he's still dealing with what am I as a Jedi, and as Luke, Luke is becoming a legend after this. Like 5 years later, he's not really there yet. And
Right.
obviously, by the point of the Last Jedi in chronological order, that is what he ends doing. Whether you like it or not, that's just how the movie ends. Is he is now a grand myth and legend of what you can do, and um, I would love to have in these small shows moments where they talk about that, where Ahsoka's like, yeah, there's this really incredible Jedi who's apparently the son of my master, or like Ezra talking about him. Like that would be really cool. And I
Man,
don't think they'll ever have them meet, just because Luke's gonna be like, where were you when I was fighting on my own? I didn't have a trainer, but I still
it
think it makes sense.
it'd
But
be it'd be a really great moment. I remember someone ended up making a comic of Luke and Ahsoka meeting, of like Ahsoka.
really,
Yeah. It was just like a quick little snippet of like Ahsoka looks at Luke and he's like, "Oh my gosh, you have your father's eyes. I wish you could have. I really wish that you could have met Anakin Skywalker." And then Anakin comes back and is like, "No, you don't get it, Ahsoka. I saved him and I saw him. I actually got to see."
Luke says that.
Luke says that to
Yeah,
Ahsoka. I got to see my father in the end. And then
yeah,
she just like breaks down. It's like, oh my gosh, it was him in the end. Uh,
yeah.
it, it was it was a really great. It was a
That's cool. I'm gonna have to check that out.
uh,
Comics is what I definitely don't end up reading as much. That I should.
it's non-canon, by the way. It was
Still, that's cool.
it was just one of those moments of like, man, that would be such an excellent moment for the two of them to meet post Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And just to kind of experience, like, have those two talk about their experiences with that. Anyways, I
Let's
just
jump.
hope.
You go.
Oh,
Finish.
super quick. I want, if they could turn Thrawn into the level of like, uh, I know this is a little too high up there, but like if they could turn him into the Thanos of the like new Star Wars series, gosh, I would be so for that.
Yeah. In Rebels he kind of it always felt like there was a bigger threat, because there is. It's Darth Vader and it's the Emperor. But
Right.
if Thrawn, now he's rogue and he's on his own, and he's, on the outer rim or wherever he is, and whether they bring in all the Exegol stuff and the Emperor coming back or not, and Snoke, but
God, I hope
it
not.
would be cool if he kind of is like, screw it, I'm in charge now, and he goes like hard bad.
Right.
That would be cool. But what about you're the one you're most excited for? We can dive a little deeper into it. Is the Rogue Squadron movie with
Oh,
Patty Jenkins?
oh gosh, I'm so stoked for this. Man, I know that it's again really stupid. Played the Rogue Squad N64 Rogue Squadron on way back in the day, and I played that game to oblivion. As a matter of fact, I think that was the game that finally made my Nintendo 64 explode. Uh, but I I've always wanted to get just like like a Top Gun in Star Wars that's
Yeah,
surrounding the X-wing, like surrounding the rebel pilots, and be able to. There's a lot of fun storytelling that you could do in that. I mean, some of it is probably going to be a little like drawing off of either like old war movies that are a little hokey, like, oh, you got someone back at home kind of a thing. But man, the more X-wings that we get flying around on screen, I am all for that.
Yeah, after seeing Wonder Woman 1984, which I didn't love the movie, I thought it was okay.
Hmm.
It's getting bashed, but I'm not like down on her because we tend to get recency biased in Hollywood. I always bring up the example of Ridley Scott because Ridley Scott made a bunch of amazing movies and then went like 10 years and he made nothing but poo. And then he made
Yeah.
The Martian, and all of a sudden I'm back on board with Ridley Scott. Uh, and with Patty, Monster is awesome. She knows how to do character. The first Wonder Woman is obviously really good and loved, and I liked this one. But
Right.
I'm excited to see her tap into a new galaxy. And she knows how to handle big budget. She knows how to handle spectacle. Because even if I didn't love this new one, it is pretty to look at. And I hope she just really focuses on a character piece. And does we're going to do some cool stuff and we're probably going to get a tease here and there.
This one's based in the sequels, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I think so. Did they announce when it took place?
No, but they did announce kind of like an over the top what it's going to be. It basically the new crop of pilots for Rogue One are like rising up and kind of like earn their wings. It makes me curious if we might actually see an aged up Wedge Antilles in the show, because I mean let me think. It was
Some people think we'll get Hera.
Oh, that'd be cool. I'd be Hera, but Hera's way more in like the general position right now. She's
well, maybe she's in charge of the new recruits.
That could be
that'd be interesting. That'd be interesting.
I know. Let me think. It was started off with Red Squadron. Rogue Squadron gets formed by the time that Empire Strikes Back happened, which Luke is the leader of. He leaves Rogue Squadron to become a Jedi, and Wedge Antilles takes control of it. So if I think the actor is still alive for Wedge Antilles, I think.
He is. Yeah, he was in Rise of Skywalker.
That's right.
Do you know who his do you know who his nephew is?
Huh.
Ian McGregor.
What?
Yeah, that's his uncle.
Oh my gosh, I have no idea.
There's a funny story where Ian McGregor talks about when he was getting into Star Wars that his uncle told him not to do it because the fan base can get so toxic and they can get kind of nuts. And he didn't necessarily have the best time, but clearly he had a good enough time to come back. But yeah, he comes in Rise of Skywalker. Remember he's in the Falcon.
Yep, I remember now.
Which is still, I mean, I love the moment where Wedge is there, but man, it would have been so much cooler if he was flying an old X-Wing, taking guys out. That would have been awesome.
If he had been floating around in his old T-65, God, I would have loved that.
Yeah, I like the idea of Top Gun in space with Patty. I think it'll be real cool, and get a bunch of young hotshot people in there, and maybe they go with a young Poe Dameron. Maybe they don't. I don't really want that.
I don't really want that. I would just like to have the. I'll talk about what I want and what I expect it might be. What I really want is either a Hera or a Wedge Antilles to really kind of be showing the ropes of these people, handing it on to the next generation, as they're teaching them. Something terrible happens, and then all of they're either separated or basically home base has been taken out and their teachers are gone, and now they need to really kind of pull the big boy pants up and take things into their hands.
Yeah.
What I kind of expect is a lot of like new, like completely brand new faces, and we get something of that nature. That's my prediction anyways.
Yeah, I think I will say I am a little more hesitant with Patty with writing because she wrote this Wonder Woman and she wrote Monster, and I love the writing in Monster, but she was a big hand in writing the newer one, and I think some of the dialogue and the story is the bigger problem. So she either needs somebody I think with her, or I think they should go with a different set of writers to write this, and they haven't announced if she's writing it.
I don't think she. I think in the video of like her walking from the car to the X-wing. I don't think she wrote it because she said I'd been looking for, like, my dad was a fighter pilot, and I know I wanted to tell a story of be like fighter pilots and so on. And I like turned down script after script because there was nothing that really interested me until I came across this script, and I
Yeah,
wanted to direct this one. So I think someone else is writing it.
yeah. Writer, Star Wars never needs to bring Chris Terrio in to write ever again, because I'm over him after what he's done in DC and here. So it better not be him.
Right.
I hope they bring in somebody unique for writing this. Somebody who's I'd really love it if they brought in like another woman who's got some prominent writing under her belt. I think would be really cool to write it with Patty. I think Patty needs a little bit of boost because she wrote the newest Wonder Woman with Jeff Johns, who wrote a lot of the CW shows for DC. And I really like the first 3 seasons, I think it was, or 2 seasons of Arrow and Flash, and the rest of it I think is pretty bad writing.
Right.
So I hope it's with, like, I'd love a strong woman coming in and just make this, and I hope they go with a woman lead.
Right.
I think that would be really cool. I think it would look, if Star Wars got a lot of flack for having the first openly gay character in Rise of Skywalker, but it was in the background. If they made had a woman, like 2 women, the focal point, and they ended up getting together, I think would be not only groundbreaking for Star Wars, but I think it'd be a really cool story. It would be unique. It would be different. You could deal with a lot in that, and Patty would do a really good job handling that. She can handle if they go. Like, I don't want to say that only Patty Jenkins should direct a woman. You know what I mean? Like, she can handle anybody, but I think that would be an interesting story, especially if they went with 2 different women of different ethnicities and backgrounds and color. I think that would be really cool, and to just do some really cool stuff with fighter pilots. Like, I want like an hour up in a battle, Tanner. We haven't really gotten that much. I want no cutting. I want it to be like the game. I want it to be, you are not leaving. Like, the only shots you're going to get are inside the cockpit. There's nothing else.
You need to play Star Wars Squadrons so bad.
I know. I'll get it.
So much fun. Anyways. Rangers of the New, so circling back to the Mandalorian timeline, Rangers of the New Republic. What do you think about it? Is it a show you want? And who do you think might be in it, and who do you want in it?
I like it. If Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are saying this is part of their little baby with Mandalorian, I'm for it. It's reportedly supposed to follow Cara Dune and getting back into building the Republic.
Wait, is like her as like the main focal point?
That's what I remember the rumor was, because this is the Rangers, right? Is what you asked me? Did I mishear you?
Rangers of the Republic.
Yeah, it's supposed to be that Dune embraces her calling as Marshal of the New Republic. Okay. I'm not super for it because I just don't think Gina Carano is just there yet as a talent. Obviously, she's got the controversy around her. I'm going to try to put that aside here.
Right. Just to, like, focus on it as an acting perspective.
Yeah, I just don't know if I want her to be the lead of a show. I don't think she's got the chops. She's very stonewalled, and I think that can work. And I think it does work, especially in season 1. I think she struggled a little more in season 2, but it works as a support to other people.
She's a better character actor than like what's not character actor. I'm totally forgetting the name of like someone playing a trope.
Typecasted.
Typecasting. There we go. She's really good as a like typecast. I'm going to be the big beefy tank of kind of
I would rather follow new characters, and they might do that. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, it says that it's going to be led by her, or that people are suspecting it'll most likely be led by her.
What if they brought Bill Burr into Rangers of the New Republic,
and he joined the Republic?
He joined the joined the squad.
I don't know if they'd go that route. I wonder if they, when the Republic needs to get a little shady, they bring him in. But I don't know if he'd be like a main guy. And I don't know if Bill Burr wants to be a main character in a
I don't
show right
I
now.
don't think he does, but man, after that last episode we got with Bill
Yeah.
Burr, I would just die to have him be like one of the core tenants of a group. I just
Yeah.
thought he was so good in that episode that I'm like, man, I want to see more of you, but I know the kind of guy that you are. You don't want to be tied down to a show, and I completely
Yeah.
get it.
It sounds like that it feels like Dave will mainly handle Ahsoka while John will mainly handle Rangers while they both work on Mandalorian season 3.
Okay.
And I trust John. I can't not trust him right now. There's no problem until there is one, and right now there's no problem. So
Same with Dave.
yeah, so I'm a little more hesitant just because if it is going to be Gina leading it, but I trust the brains behind it. Is that how you feel?
Yes, I absolutely I love Johnny Fav. I hope okay, this is my one fear. They have done nothing to prove me that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have been consistently knocking it out of the park, and they've been doing great work in Star Wars. They have no reason. I'm aboard the hype train. I have no reason to believe that they would ever do me dirty. But I must say, I wonder if we got as many of these shows and things is because Disney approached John and Dave and said, "Okay, Mandalorian's great. You need to make 12 shows. Go." And that's where we get all of these shows.
Well, they're only doing the 2, I believe.
Okay.
I don't think they're really having a big hand in the others.
I know that I just hope that they weren't pushed so thin, because these are the moments those are the moments when someone approaches you and said, "Hey, we need you to make 12 shows." Then all of those shows start to get stretched so thin.
Yeah.
And I hope
although Kevin Feige's doing it, like we've seen people be able to handle it, and if he's got his hand a little bit in the pot for Star Wars, maybe he's helping, giving him a lot of the direction. I think this is more on new Big Bob, the new head of Disney. I think he has made it pretty clear streaming is the way to go. So I think he is pushing that they have to make a bunch of shows. And they announced that, I believe it's Alan Horn, who was the head of Disney and Pixar, creative, is now the head of all creativity for Disney in the media sense. So for the television, for movies, for Marvel, Disney, Pixar, Star Wars, everything they're doing, the Fox stuff. And I liked that move, and I don't think it was talked about enough because he's done nothing but knock it out of the park with Disney and Pixar. I mean, just Soul alone. I mean, Soul was so good, so different, so unique, and he knows how to tell stories. So now that he is kind of going to step in and get kind of a final say before new Big Bob, I think really helps.
Okay.
I think having him be Kathy's boss now is big, and I think that'll help the story go a little bit better. And maybe he's a big reason Kevin is getting a little bit more say, and they're trying to bring in more people because it's weird. Star Wars needs, I think, it does need somebody calling the shots. But when Star Wars worked was when George called the shots, but actually had people around him to tell him what was stupid. Because it was when he did the prequels and people were afraid to tell him no, or
yes, man.
Yeah, and he was like, no, we're seriously doing this, and he wasn't necessarily listening as much. I think is when they lost some of the prequel stuff.
Right.
But I hope that move works. Sorry, I went on a little tangent.
No. That's
higher ups of Disney.
This is what we want.
Yeah. I think they'll do a good job. I think John and Dave got it.
I think that they've learned from their mistakes in the sequel trilogy, because regardless if you love or hate whatever movies, we can all objectively say that there were some serious mistakes that were made in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah. I
And
think
did learn-
Kathy looked back and went, okay, we made a movie because this is what happened. They made a movie that divided fans. I still maintain if you look at it in terms of everyone, not the bubbled Star Wars fans, but everybody, I think most people tend to really like Last Jedi.
Mhm.
But then she got very reactionary. And then she kind of played off, she got too tunnel vision then on we need to fix Star Wars. And she ended up making a worse movie that I think everybody agrees that the last is the worst and it should have been the best.
Right.
And I think she has learned from that. And she said, I cannot be reactionary. I need to take my time and I need to let things play out. And I need to talk to people who are smarter than me in Star Wars. And that's where John and Dave kind of came in.
Right.
And I think she is counting her blessings that they are there. I'm still waiting on pins and needles if she's going to be rehired or sign a new contract
Man,
or not.
I can only imagine what Star Wars would be like. I don't think Star Wars would ever go away by any regards, but Star Wars always comes in those like waves. And
Yeah.
right now we're on the uptick of a wave. And I couldn't even imagine with like if we continued on that downtrend where we'd be at right now, if Mandalorian and what John and Dave, like, had they created something that was just not that good.
Yeah.
Thank God they didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anywho, so Rangers of the New Republic,
more hype for the High Republic show. I
Yes.
like that idea better. Like if John was just doing that, I'd be a lot more for it.
Also, weirdly, like, I'm excited about the High Republic, but man, I think I'm more excited about the Acolyte that's based in the High Republic.
Now I need a fresh reminder on what the Acolyte's going to be.
So the Acolyte is going to be following a Sith. Is a Sith acolyte around the time of the High Republic, and will be telling us the opposite story that we get from the Jedi of the High Republic.
Yeah, I pulled up a tweet here from StarWars.com who do a great job, and they have Lisa Headland brings a new Star Wars series to Disney Plus with The Acolyte. The Acolyte is a mystery thriller that will take viewers into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. That screams Bane to me. That screams Bane.
Do you
He's
think
the fall of it?
He is, but do we think that I mean, we have no idea what they're keeping and what they're not keeping from canon, but is in old canon, Bane existed like 1,000, I want to say like 1,000 or 2,000 years before the events of A New Hope. So do we think with the High Republic that they would come in and be like, okay, we're going to come in and tell the stories, this is where we're going to get like the big Jedi battles versus the big Sith, and we get those like massive pitched battles of Jedi and Sith duking it out on the field?
That would be cool. That would be cool. If she goes the Bane route.
Do we get that from High Republic, or the Sith operating from Rule of Two in the High Republic?
Well, I guess it is. They did a crossover between those two shows. That would be cool. It would be cool to follow two separate shows doing the same thing. And if the Acolyte follows, let's say, a young Sith, what I think would be cool if it follows a Sith who then becomes the apprentice to Bane. Yeah. So if a Sith fights in these big kind of because all the EU stuff is there's so much of like back in the old High Republic days. I mean, it was armies of Jedi versus armies of Sith. Some novels had like Sith made like they'd make dozens of Death Stars, which is still absurd to me. People always complain about Starkiller Base, but it's like, man, you should read some of those old Legends novels.
Right.
There was just nothing but Death Stars.
We could never get away from super weapons in Star Wars.
Yeah, it'd be cool. It'd be cool if they kind of went the CW route if they did it better, because that's what they've done with those CW DC shows,
right?
Where they'll build up to a big crossover event, And if they kind of did that on these two shows and they built up to like a giant fight, like go Game of Thrones style fight, that would be really cool. And I do bringing in Bane and having that show end or at some point hit where Bane and whether Bane and some apprentice wiping out Sith, and you can make that a whole season of them hunting down Sith because they're learning that they are more powerful when they just stick with the rule of two.
Yeah.
Would be really cool. While then watching a High Republic show that focuses on the other side. Yeah. That would be really cool. And I'm looking up, so Leslie Headland, who is going to do the Acolyte show. She a little bit younger. She was born in 1980. So that puts her at what? She's 30, 40. She's about 40 years old. Okay. So she did some work for direction. She worked on a couple shows like Russian Doll, which has gotten a lot of praise. She's done a couple of movies, some small comedy movies from back in the day, produced those same things, and written those. And like she did like a movie called Bachelorette in 2012, a movie called Sleeping with Other People that I hear is all right. And then Russian Doll, she's been a big series creator behind, and that is a show people love.
Yeah.
So I'm on board with her because I like what I'm seeing, and she's got some humor in her. So if she's taking on a darker show like Acolyte, I think that could be a cool, interesting idea. It makes me want to go watch those two kind of older comedy movies she did in the early 2000s. But I have heard nothing but love for Russian Doll. I just have never gotten around to watch it, and I love the main actress in it. But I'm curious with that. I'm gonna scroll up to see if Star Wars.com tweeted anything about the High Republic show taking place at the same time
anymore. But we know the High Republic takes place 800 years to 30 years before the events of New Hope. Old Republic is set 25,000 years ago to 1,000 years, 1,000 BBY.
Yeah.
Do we know if I know what their giant axing of. I know this is so.
No, I'm laughing at. So I'll tell a story here in a second. Okay. But you finish your thought.
Have they axed the Old Republic canon? I don't know if they have.
Anything mentioned in any novels or any shows is still there. There's no like Old Republic book that has come out.
No, it's all video. It's all video game for Old Republic.
So all of that, because there's not a new Old Republic game, right? Am I being an idiot and don't remember what? There's not a newer one.
There's Old Republic 1, 2, and then there's the MMO.
But those are all like, aren't those 90s or 2000s games?
The MMO was 2010, I believe.
So that might just be before, because I think it's 2012 is when the new canon started. So no, none of those would be considered canon anymore.
Got it. I'll do a little bit of research, but I know that Darth Bane was around the point in time of like Old Republic.
Yeah, because he wipes the Sith out.
Yes.
Which is just super, super cool. I love his story. I'm going to tell a quick side tangent story here.
Yeah.
And maybe nobody will find this funny, but my brother, obviously doesn't get terms, or I mean, even you more so than me. Like my Star Wars remembrance of the deep cut stuff hits to a point. You definitely can remember a little further than me. But I remember we watched Solo a year or so ago, or it was before Rise of Skywalker. We were rewatching all the movies, and we had just rewatched Solo. Yeah. And we were just talking about Star Wars. I can't remember what the question my brother asked me was, but he asked me, I was like eating popcorn or something. And I think the question was, when does Solo take place before A New Hope? And they didn't remember that BBY stands for Battle of Yavin, which is episode 4. Yeah. And I was eating popcorn, and I said it just like this. I was like, Battle of Yavin, BBY. I think I was a little sauced up too, but we had to look it up because I just couldn't remember. But it was funny because all of them were like, BBY. What the heck is BBY? What is Yavin? Like they all just, because my brother's obviously a Star Wars fan, but they're not as deep cut on some of the stuff. But anyway, let's kind of touch on some of these last ones here since we have gone on. So we both talked about it briefly, but the Bad Batch, that trailer's awesome. I'm ready for that show.
You mean Clone Wars season 9?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it'll be.
Oh, dude, the trailer was rad though, and I'm super stoked to see. It looks like this is going to be the show showing the transition from the Republic to the Empire, and that's super cool. I'm all about that.
Yeah, I like it. I'm for it,
dude. After thinking about it more, I'm super stoked for Star Wars Visions.
I was just gonna bring that up. I also am. I think new animated shows, all from Japanese animators, is going to be awesome. And it'll be really cool if they bring in people from the different studios, because you and I are both pretty big anime fans. If they bring in guys, like all of a sudden one episode, it's like, is that from the studio that makes, like My Hero Academia and more of those shonen shows, or some of the Netflix studios that they kind of partner with that make like Seven Deadly Sins and things like that. It would be cool. It's going to be cool to get those different stories, because let's be honest, the Japanese are the best animators probably on the planet. I mean, they really are. I mean, you look at Miyazaki, to all the different shows, and it's because that's their form of medium. They put more effort into it. And yes, Pixar knows what they're doing. Disney knows what they're doing. Paramount knows what they're doing. And they've made some great stuff. But you get a bunch of short new stories that can be anywhere in Star Wars, because they were doing that for a while with the I can't remember what it was called, where they were telling like different stories of like Leia and whatnot, or it'd be Luke or maybe Rey, and it was
the little like vignettes. Star Wars Adventures, I think it was.
Yeah, but they're doing short films. Yes. So if they're doing like a good 30 minute short film, like just even thinking of some of the short films that fans have made of like Vader and Obi-Wan, like we're going to get some cool stuff. Like I think too, when they announced this, on my mind immediately went to the fans that's made that video if Star Wars was an anime. Yeah. And it's just awesome. And I want that. I would love if somebody redid like some of the fights in the Clone Wars where the Jedi are going ham.
Did you see the old there was that dude that made what was it? He Star Wars TIE Fighter. He did. Yeah. Oh man, the way that they animated that and ran through that whole thing. Oh, it looks so good. And I would pay so much money to be able to just watch an entire series that was done in that art style.
Now, he doesn't really do much anymore.
No, he doesn't.
If they get Miyazaki to do a short film, I will lose my absolute mind. That might be a bigger dream, because I've always wanted to see Spielberg do Star Wars, because it's kind of just been the kind of like George has asked him so many times, and it's, he can tell such a Star Wars story. Right. But if they can get Miyazaki, I doubt it, because he's been retired for so long, and I don't know how he is today. I mean, he's pretty old. I don't know if his health is poor or not. I hope not, because he is just such a master.
He's a legend. Oh my gosh.
I mean, he is the legend. I mean, there's nobody better in animation than him.
We would lose our minds if that actually happened. I know I don't think anything like that will actually happen, but I have no doubt that there's going to be some big names that they do bring in from some of the.
So the last thing he made was a short called Boro the Caterpillar in 2018, and he has another thing on IMDb on the docket called How Do You Live, which is just going to be another animated thing. So it sounds like he's still in the business. Okay. If they can get him, that would be awesome. I mean, that would be so cool. If he just got to do anything he wanted to make and he's making more shorts these days. So if he animated that'd be awesome.
Japanese samurai film with Jedi, I am fucking there.
And I like that they can go anywhere, because if they pull something out of Old Republic and they just tell Do the Disney short kind of idea. Make
Right.
it anything about anything and let them go crazy. Because you can touch on any character and a little side story. I'd love retellings, like like we've seen people retell fights in animation. Like I would love to see Luke and Vader, and we've seen some of those, but like a real hardcore, strong Japanese animator making Luke versus Vader again would be amazing. I would love that. I would weirdly a fight I'd love them to redo, even though it's one of the moments I do like in Rise of Skywalker. But a Japanese animator with their mind and the ability of animation to do the Rey Kylo fight in between their minds would be real cool.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, no, I am all for Visions because I wasn't as interested in kind of the animated kind of kids short thing. I think this will be a lot cooler, and it helps bring anime into that style into the Western culture more.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else are we missing here? Because we should probably wrap up. We got Lando. I'm interested.
I'm interested, but I want it to be Donnie Glover. That's the only one, the only stipulation that I want. But I don't know if that's actually going to happen. We'll see.
I mean, the only other option. I mean, they could do an animated Lando show. They didn't announce if it's live action or animated. If they do an animated one, but they did announce who's running it. So it's Justin Simeon here. Let me look him up because I don't know the name. How do you spell that last name? Sim. Oh, so he did Dear White People. That on and he directed it, that show, and that show was really liked, and that film was really liked. So he is coming from live action. He's a black creator in Hollywood, so I am for that. So that'll say it's not animated. So the two options are it's either the Calrissian Chronicles of Lando before he meets Solo or around that time, or it's got to be Lando old going around trying to find with his daughter from Rise of Skywalker, which it sounds like they kind of weren't, or they did announce that they were. I don't want that. I want Calrissian Chronicles.
I want
him playing Sabacc. I'd love. I actually really liked Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo. I thought he did a great job. I'd love if he popped in and out for a mission here or there.
Yeah.
But I think the Calrissian Chronicles with Donald Glover is the way to go.
Alden Ehrenreich as Solo, great. Donald Glover as Lando, amazing. Loved him.
Yeah.
Just not crazy about the story that they came up with for.
I liked it. It wasn't my favorite. I thought it was fun, but not the best.
Right.
But I mean, I'll watch that over Rise of Skywalker. But I'm interested in that. Is there anything we're missing?
There's two that we're missing. We are missing the Obi-Wan and Andor.
Let's do Andor first. We'll end with my boy.
I'm excited about Andor. If we can get kind of a spy thriller of that one, which is weird because like initially when they announced it shortly after they got done with Rogue One, I was like, I don't know if I'm too crazy about that, just because in Rogue One, like he wasn't really a character that like drew me in, where I'm like, man, I want to get to know more about this guy. I thought he was good, but he wasn't one of those characters where I was like, I just need more of you. But there's a lot of really really interesting stories that you could tell of the rebellion, the like more seedier side of the rebellion, like just got to get the job done. I'm going to do the dirty work and all the spycraft. I'm all on board for that.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, finish.
Oh, that's all I had to say. Go for it.
I was not super interested in the idea when it was first announced, and then I read Lost Stars.
Yeah.
And Lost Stars has no connection, but it's about two kids on the same planet, kind of star-crossed lovers who both kind of rise up in the Empire, believing the Empire is great. And that is what got me, is the idea that it's going to take place before Rogue One and how he joins the Resistance or the rebellion. Yeah. Because I really like that idea, because his parents were separatists. They were big on the Empire. They wanted to be a part of it. So I want to see him turn the horrors he saw. I liked his character. I actually really like Rogue One. A lot of people don't. It's one of the best of the new movies to me. I think it's awesome. And so I really liked Jin, but I really liked Cassian. And the fact that K2SO is going to be in it is the biggest thing, because if he's not in it, I don't think it's going to be as good. But I'm all for it. I'm very interested in the show now, and I want to see it bad. I don't know why these shows have taken forever. The show was announced 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and it's still in development. They put out 2 seasons of Mandalorian, and we still have just this one show.
It makes me wonder
it is what it is.
It makes me wonder if all these shows, I can't even imagine what scheduling for as they try to schedule out all these different shows and how production is going to be working between them, because I can only imagine, ever since they created the volume, I know they announced that they were working on a second and possibly third volume at their studios. But man, the scheduling conflicts that you must run into while trying to use the volume with this many shows, because there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to be using that for every single one of these shows. It is just one of the most incredible pieces of technology that we've seen created in probably the past like 20 years. That's even saying that like I'm blowing that out of the water past the technological advancement we got from like the Avatar movies.
Yeah. I mean, Jon Favreau knows how to make technology. Right. So let's kind of wrap up our very long first episode. This will probably be split, which I love it. Yeah, let's end with Obi-Wan. And we touched on it in the after show. There's not a fan who has not preached this. This has always made sense to be the thing that everybody wants. Forever it was, let's get a trilogy. And they announced at one point they were going to do an Obi-Wan trilogy, or were thinking about it. They then announced it was a movie. They even announced who was writing that movie. I think his name was Brian something. I can't remember. But and he's a good indie director. And then they announced it was on the back burner. And then they announced they're doing a show. Then they announced they're filming the show. Then they announced there's creative differences and they're not filming the show. Now they're back to filming the show in Boston. Ian McGregor said he was on the Mandalorian set in the Obi-Wan robes on their cool set they've built. So I don't know what the heck's going on. It makes no sense why there has been such problems with Kathy. And we should make a whole episode dedicated to talking about all of the issues and our speculation and such, because she made some whack calls. But I'm still hyped for this show. I trust Deborah Chow. I hope this is nothing to back this up. I hope that John and Dave are a reason it finally got back on track. And if he's on the Mandalorian set, I hope they came into Kathy's office and said, look, whatever you're doing to this creative difference thing needs to be figured out. This is stupid. We talked for a while. I can't remember if it was Kyle and I, or if it was the three of us on the show, but I wonder if the creative differences were about Hayden Christensen and if they're going to bring in Vader. I wonder if that's the issue. Yeah. I think
how they were going to bring
they bring him in. Well, if they are and how, because I wonder if maybe at first they were like, maybe Deborah said no, or vice versa.
Right.
Although if anybody's going to bring in Vader, it feels more like a Kathy move to say no, Darth Vader needs to be in it.
Right. She talked about it being the duel. Well, I forget what her actual line is. It's like the duel of the century or something like that. What do you want those two to actually meet up and have a duel?
So for a long time, I watched a lot of Star Wars stuff. I watch a little less now, but a different podcast, and they'd always talked about how they can't meet in between because there's a line in A New Hope where he says, I can't remember the line. He says something when they draw sabers. Obi-Wan does, where it's like, I mean, there's he's more man now, the machine line, and stuff.
You're no more man the machine. Vader also says, last we met, I was the learner. Now I am the master.
Yeah, that might be the line I'm thinking of. And they always said it couldn't work because that wouldn't make sense. They need time apart from each other. And this is taking place, how long did they say? Was it 8 years?
I don't know what the time frame for
Let's see. Let me so the little synopsis they gave, Ian McGregor is coming back, Deborah Chow is leading it. The big news is that Hayden Christensen would return not as Anakin but as Darth Vader for a showdown against Obi-Wan 10 years after the end of Revenge of the Sith. We know the duo will come out of battle alive to fight again in A New Hope, but both Ian McGregor and Christensen together once more is bound to be something special. Okay, so 10 years. And what's the timeline between 3 and 4? Isn't it like 16 years?
Or,
is he 18?
It's either 18 or 20. Let me look.
I don't think Luke is 20 when they leave.
He's either 18 or 20.
See, I always thought it was 16 or 20. How old is Luke Skywalker? Oh, I wrote long. Why did I write long? Let's see who gets to it first.
3 and 4. There we go. 19 years.
So he's 19? Oh, wow.
Okay,
so Luke is 22. This says in 19, he's 19 years old in the first one. During the events of the Star Wars movies, and Empire Strikes Back takes place 3 years later, so he's 22. Then okay, so 19 years. So there's almost another decade in between when they see each other again. So that's not too bad. A good 9 years is a long time not to see somebody. Mm-hmm. I'm very curious how they're going to have him look. I hope they really make him 10 years later. He's got to be full white by then, right? He's got to be full, because in Rebels, Luke is pretty little in that scene, and he's old man Kenobi by then. He's whited up. And I said this with Yoda, with a theory with Grogu back in the day, but I wonder if the training he does in the Force kind of forces him to age a little faster. Because he is going to be he did training with Qui-Gon. And do you think we'll see Qui-Gon?
No.
See, I would have said yes if it was 5 years later or 3 years later, but it's 10. So 10, I'd say no, because there's no point for him to be training.
Well, okay, let's very real chance that we could get a flashback of him dealing with him training with Qui-Gon.
I guess we could get Force Ghost Qui-Gon to talk to him and give him advice.
I don't think we're ever going to get Force Ghost, but I do think that we might get his voice coming through, though,
like they did in Clone Wars.
Because he said, specifically in Clone Wars, he said he cannot manifest him. He wasn't able to complete the training to. He wasn't able to complete the training up to that point, and that he was only able to project through the Force, just his voice through the Force. So I do think there's a very real chance that we hear his voice, but I don't think we actually get a Force Ghost.
Yeah.
I hope we get the chance to get off Tatooine for a little while, that Obi-Wan needs to go take care of a couple of things, and man, let's just get more Ewan McGregor. After the year that we've had, I deserve some Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, we all do. He is so good, and I like Hayden coming back. I think they can make it work. I trust Deborah. She did the best episodes of season 1 for The Mandalorian by far, maybe still the best episodes. And so I trust her to make this story good. She's got a good relationship with John and Dave, so if she needs help, she knows who to turn to. I hope George goes to set and gives a little bit of his George, you can use CGI on that there, his kind of advice that his long-standing advice that he's always given. But I hope that they Now look, we got old man Vader and old man Obi-Wan. And fans have always, we talked about the animated thing, fans have always wanted to see them really duke it out. And we've seen them really duke it out when he was just turned to Vader.
Right.
And I think she can come up with a really cool battle, because now we've seen Vader be ticked. I mean, maybe the greatest moment of Vader is the Rogue One moment, because he just goes to town and just obliterates people. And
either that or Fallen Order.
Well, yeah, Fallen Order for sure. But if they got like, because if Obi-Wan is not necessarily too crippled yet, you know, where he's struggling with his age to kind of as a sword fighter, and maybe that'd be a cool point if maybe Obi-Wan hasn't finished the training yet, and that's a big reason why he maybe runs and survives when he meets Vader, because he hasn't finished the training. And then, but when they meet again, he has, and then he has the line, you know, you strike me down, I'll be more powerful than ever. And that would be kind of a cool thing if maybe this training, the reason Qui-Gon didn't finish is because he needed a good 10 years and he didn't get that long.
Right.
So that would be interesting. I hope the fight obviously can't be as choreographed and epic and, you know, as the Revenge of the Sith one, but you can do more than in A New Hope. So I'm excited, and I'm glad Hayden is coming back. It's time for Hayden to be back. There's no reason he shouldn't have been back. Honestly, I wish we could bring what?
He seems excited to be back too.
I think he's always wanted to be back.
Yeah.
I think he had a hard time with Star Wars. You know, one of the things that's bummed me out is that we've kind of had this renaissance with Disney of bringing old people back and trying to reassert them. And it would have been, I feel bad for Jake Lloyd more than anybody. You know, it sucks that you can't bring him back because of the way he was treated. If anybody's watching this and you're young and you've only grown up with Star Wars being cool, you should go read what happened to Jake Lloyd and when Star Wars was not cool, because it is horrible. And I wish, I mean, it ruined his life. I wish they could do something with him. Although I think he has had a very tough life since. I think he's had some substance abuse issues. But anyway, I'm glad Hayden is coming back. I hope he kind of gets into shape. You know, he does not look the old Anakin, from episode 2 and 3 anymore. So if he kind of bulks up a little bit and kind of gets back into that fighting shape, it'd be cool to see it, see him in the suit. And Mandalorian proved he can be in the suit and you can still act very well without having to show your face. And if they do show his face at some kind of that scene where the helmet's getting put on later, be interesting, or him in a tank would be cool. But that's the show I'm still most excited for. And I hope they finally freaking finish it, because I want to see it.
The only thing that I'm scared of with that show with the hype on that with you, but I just hope that they don't lean too much into nerd bait nostalgia. That they excuse me. I hope that they continue to tell an interesting story with that it's not just going to be them. It's like, oh, cool, you guys wanted to see Obi-Wan versus. I do want that, but I want it to mean something. I don't want someone to just come in and be like, hey, look at these fun references, instead of actually making those references like an integral part of the story.
And maybe that's part of the reasons they were having trouble getting the show finally going, is that they were having creative differences with that. But because it's Deborah, because she's close with John and Dave knows how to handle Obi-Wan, because he handled him so beautifully in it was really Maul he was handling so beautifully, but Maul eventually had to meet Obi-Wan again for the final time. And I hope they go with more of the spiritual Obi-Wan, and they should, because he should be there where it's more spiritual than fighting.
Right.
That'll be cool, because Obi-Wan, last we've seen, Obi-Wan thinks Anakin is dead.
That's true.
He doesn't know he's alive. He thinks that Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader are dead, and this will be how he figures out that Anakin and Vader are the same person. Because I don't think they ever mention in Revenge of the Sith that he is Vader. He never says to Obi-Wan, "I'm now Darth Vader." He just knows he's upset, but he doesn't say his new name or title.
That's
so
true.
It would be interesting, and I'm curious what the story is going to be for them to meet. What is going to cause Obi-Wan to actually leave Tatooine? Again, one of the novels I love that is no longer canon. It's where Obi-Wan leaves because he hears there's a Padawan that he knew that is alive, and he goes to try to save her where normally he wouldn't go but because he knew her that he does.
Yeah.
And that could be where Obi-Wan learns, I can't leave Luke again. Like, this ended up being a mistake. My role to play in this bigger part is protecting him and getting him on the path. So I hope that's they do something interesting like that. I think him going after a Jedi would be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or maybe he hears Anakin Skywalker is alive, and so he goes after Anakin to then find out it's Darth Vader.
Definitely I think the previous one you talked about is definitely the closer one that could happen, because it needs to be something to just push him off Tatooine, like you're talking about. And also, we need Vader. We know the number one thing that he's doing during this time period is hunting Jedi.
Which is so cool.
Oh God, it's wicked. With him and his Inquisitors. So the only way for them to meet makes sense of he realizes, oh, there's a few Jedi that are actually alive. I'm going to run out and try to see if I can save them, put them into hiding. All of a sudden, Vader shows up, and they're like, what is happening?
It'd be cool if we got a drop, like he overheard like Cal Kestis' story, and that some Jedi met Vader, and then he, not necessarily that he goes after Cal because the time doesn't line up there, but if he just hears things like that, or they had a drop like that, that would be cool. Man, ticked off Vader's the best Vader. I'm pumped for it. But you cut out there. We should probably wrap this episode up, though.
I was gonna say we've gone on for some time.
Yep, which is why I wanted to do this with you.
Heck yeah, man.
All right, guys. Hey, thank you for watching another Happy Landing podcast show, whatever it is. Remember, thank you again to the Movie Meals patrons. Those names will be flashing on the screen. A couple of those different tier guys. You guys are the best. Kyle and I really appreciate it. This show will also be on other platforms because it's going to be a little more podcast. So it'll be on Spotify and Apple Music or Apple Podcasts. So those will all be linked every Saturday, unless there's something big that Tanner and I are just dying to talk about. But it'll be every Saturday at 11 for your Star Wars love. I think, is that what we decided? Was it Saturday at 11? Isn't that what we decided Saturday last night?
Yep.
Okay, so Saturday at 11. Go check all that out. Remember, Kyle and I got merch. All that will be down below. Glad we can bring Tanner into our little Movie Meal family and have him on as a really the more permanent guest, because it's gonna be fun talking Star Wars, and we got a lot of cool stuff coming. I think him and I talked once about doing a Star Wars trivia thing. I think we should do it on here sometime. 100%. Would be fun. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So for another Happy Landing, we just had another one. We will see you guys next time. Yeah. Hello there.
Another Happy Landing.
Another Happy Landing.